from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening and welcome to the National News broadcast, bringing to you live from the National News Studios here at the ChannelEye Rupavahini Corporation. We're ready to bring you the top stories here at home and around the world. I'm Charita Vinapurarachi. Joining with me today is Sharifa Tahir. Large crowds gathered to experience the Colombo Lotus Tower. President says Sri Lanka will be made a center of maritime commerce, ensuring freedom of navigation in the Indian Ocean region. Several member countries allege that a political conspiracy in the effect against Sri Lanka at the Geneva Human Rights Council. Election Commission says the present electoral system shows weak and corruptive signs. Circular granting no-pay leave for the public officers to be spent within the country issued. Remains of late Queen Elizabeth II laying in state at the Westminster Hall for public viewing. National television felicitates the Asian netball champions.
We move on to those and other stories in detail now, taking a look at local news first. Lotus Tower commenced operations today, offering a novel experience for Sri Lankans. Large crowds were gathered to witness the opening and experience the unique attractions of the Colombo Lotus Tower. The Lotus Tower is the tallest self-structure in South Asia. So far, 80% of local investors and 20% of foreign investors have joined the investment opportunities at the Lotus Tower. The first floor is expected to be allocated for offices, and it is also expected to establish a digital cinema hall. The third floor consists of a conference hall which can accommodate up to 400 people at a time. Meanwhile, the open floor has been designed in such a manner that it can be used for various entertainment activities. On the first floor, shaped like a lotus bud, a reception hall has been constructed that can accommodate about 400 people. The official website of the Lotus Tower was launched this morning. The event was held with the participation of Chief Administrative Officer of Colombo Lotus Tower Private Limited, retired Major General Prasad Samarasinghe. The website is operated through Cogent and Sri Lanka Telecom. With the commencement of operations, anyone can avail themselves of this experience by purchasing a ticket. Tickets are priced 500 rupees and 2000 rupees, while the tickets for foreigners is priced at $20. It is also planned to introduce a QR code system in the future instead of a ticket. The work related to the Lotus Tower is expected to be completed under the 3 stages and will be opened for business to proceed with operations by next March. The government expects to transform the vicinity of the tower into an economic development zone.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says efforts should be taken to establish freedom of navigation in the Indian Ocean region and make Sri Lanka a center of maritime commerce. The president also pointed out that plans should be made to create a powerful Asia by opening up the world while ensuring the security of the Indian Ocean region. He made these observations while addressing the first graduation ceremony held at the National Defence College yesterday. Upon arrival at the National Defence College, the President engaged in an observational tour at the premises. National Defence College was established at the premises institute that promotes strategic thinking for the senior officers of the Tri-Forces, Police and Public Service. Its mission is to provide holistic knowledge with a wave of developing highly qualified strategic decision makers in the realm of the national security, statecraft, diplomacy and public policy to ensure national security and national development of Sri Lanka. The first batch of 31 tri-service and police student officers of the National Defence College received their respective degrees from the President. Addressing the gathering, the President said now the country has to think of the country's security and role of armed forces in 2030 and beyond.
The geopolitics of the Indian Ocean has unfortunately made us the punching bag for Hambantota. Actually, there are about 17 ports that are operated by the Chinese in the Indian Ocean, different companies. There are some more ports that are operated by Dubai World Ports. Now, all the ports are commercial ports. So is Hambantota. It is not a military port. If there is security significance, it is in the port of Darwin in Australia, where you have, as they say, the Chinese ports are operating side by side with the areas with the Australian and the US forces used for training. We don't have that. We don't allow anyone to come and train here. So we are a commercial port. It shows our strategic importance that many people sort of come to conclusions which are unwarranted. And I hope the next agreement we come to with China will not cause such speculation. It is only about debt reduction for Sri Lanka. We don't want a level of rivalry which will affect the security and the peace of our area. Sri Lanka will not take part in any big power rivalry. That we had decided from the time of Right Honourable D.S. Senanayake. It was shown in the Colombo Powers Conference, in the non-aligned conferences, whatever it be, that we will not join any big power or take sides. We will stay out of it, and that's why we want to ensure that the big powers and the rivalry doesn't certainly lead to conflict in the Indian Ocean. That's one thing we can't afford. We are faced with so many problems. Non-military. Look at the question today we are facing, many of our countries, of the shortage of food, of economic development, of global climate change. I think we have to now look at the defense and security of Sri Lanka. That's why we want to have Defense 2030 report. Firstly is look at the whole region. And that's a study not only by the Defense Ministry, by the Foreign Ministry, by the Finance Ministry, looking at the economic trade, they have very little trade integration, by the Environment Ministry, and the new Climate Change Office, Secretariat I will have within the President's Office to get together and with other concerned ministries and departments, look at the situation, security situation in the Indian Ocean. Then there's a question of what our security forces should be. What are the challenges we are going to face? We are not going to get involved in a war. But what are the challenges we face? And what are we going to do about it? That we have to decide. Because now we have to move out of the phase we were in. We had to fight a war. We have now concluded the war victoriously. Now we have to bring peace, which we are doing, and there will be a final settlement, I hope, in the next few months with the northern and the Tamil people. I've been talking with the Tamil parliamentarians. We have to think of the future. Even terrorism today is not the terrorism we faced. It's of different nature. I hope we won't have it. But we must take all precautions against it. The other one is that other terrorists can use Sri Lanka to attack third parties. Now that danger is there within the security of Sri Lanka and the defense of Sri Lanka. What is the future battlefield for us? What is our role in that battlefield? What are we going to do? How are we going to restructure armed forces? What about the cyberspace? Are the existing armed forces going to do it, or are we going to have a separate force? What is our role, and what are the armed forces, and what we are going to do? It's within our budgets, which also means we have a very high expenditure on defense. So we have to gradually reduce it as a percentage of the GDP. But we should all be committed to a fast-growing economy. If we can go instead of 5% to 7 or 8%, then as the economy grows, your share will grow. So this is what our future would be, and I've asked the Secretary of Defense and some of the others to look at the groundwork for Defense 2030, and many of you in the armed forces and outside could make your contribution, because this is really the future of our country. If you don't have a good defense system, your future is gone. So these are many, many issues that we will have to focus on, and we have to get ready for it. This Defense College then is producing the human resources who would play a leading role in looking at our defense structure. And I would ask all of you to put on your thinking caps and make a contribution, because we have to now think of the defense of Sri Lanka and the role of armed forces in 2030 and beyond.
State Minister of Defence Pramita Bandarathenakon, Secretary of Ministry of Defence General Kamal Gunaratne, commanders of the Tri-Forces, the Inspector General of Police and Commandant of the National Defence College, Major General Amal Karunasekara, were present at this occasion.
Attorney at Law Pratibha Mahanamaheva says another threat has emerged against Sri Lanka at the UN Human Rights Council. He said that several member nations are in the effort of bringing another resolution against Sri Lanka, which is beyond the scope of the United Nations Human Rights Council.
The 51st session of United Nations Human Rights Council session commenced on 12 September. This will last until 7th October. Before this session, a report on Sri Lanka published by the Office of Human Rights High Commissioner issued. The whole report is based on 46-1 resolution, and the new issues were added. In this report, 16 pages are there and 72 main facts they have presented. Under that, 71 and 72 are the resolution against Sri Lanka. A new resolution has been introduced, economic crimes. So what do you mean by economic crimes? Which is where the rulers of Sri Lanka, they have committed economic crimes. Because of that only, the human rights violated in Sri Lanka. There is no connection between that. Now, Human Rights Council, basically they must look the economic rights, social rights and cultural rights, which is actually not even there. Now there is another danger happened after 2 days. 7 countries, including UK, USA, Montenegro, Germany, they are now going to pass another resolution against in Sri Lanka that is called 51/5 United Nations Human Rights Council resolution. Now the draft has been prepared. The draft has been given to several countries. What we are doing at the moment. So the countries which are supporting for Sri Lanka, China, Russia, Cuba, Vietnam, Pakistan, they are totally against with this. This is where they are targeting one country and trying to pass resolution and put into another trouble. In this, basically, beyond the scope of the United Nations Human Rights Council. So that's why these countries are rally behind Sri Lanka if certain countries are trying to pass this type of resolution. Now this draft resolution had been given to several countries for comments. So countries, they are openly make their voice not to target Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka we have to support to develop economic, social, cultural rights as well as the promotion of human rights. So this is a very clear cut. The West as well as certain type of INGOs and LTT supporting diaspora trying to put pressure further Sri Lankan activities. This is a violation of sovereignty which is there with the people under Article 3 and Article 4B, which is very clearly stated. So Sri Lanka is a sovereign independent country. National crisis, national problems are decided by Sri Lankan courts, and what they try to do after passing this resolution, they are going to pass into an international jurisdiction where they are trying to take international courts. This is where once again 2015 Sri Lanka and USA combinedly passed a resolution, hybrid court, and passing this hybrid court, those who have done crimes, economic crimes in Sri Lanka try to punish, but UNHRC mandate is not that. But they are doing a basic investigation against Sri Lanka human rights violation, and basically they are trying for war crimes and genocide. But Sri Lanka specifically said, our policy is to work parallel with United Nations Human Rights Council. That is a very good thing. But passing this resolution, a pathetic situation.
Chairman of the Election Commission, Nimal Puncheheva, says the present electoral system shows weak and corruptive signs.
He made these remarks while addressing an event in Colombo today to commemorate the International Democracy Day. Chairman of the Election Commission, Nimal Puncheheva, said that the present electoral system is weak and corrupt. He pointed out that the negative behavior change seen in a candidate after becoming a representative is a concern pertaining to the system. He also said that an equal electoral contest cannot be seen and present due to the imbalanced spending of certain candidates and their political parties. Also, he said that the allegiance of a candidate differ upon being elected as a public representative and serve those who financially supported their campaigns instead of the public. He also pointed out that the importance of a methodology to regularize media pertaining to propaganda campaigns. Lanka Nippon BizTech Institute launched its first degree program at the KNPTI premises Maharagama today.
The program was launched in the presence of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and Japanese Ambassador Mizukoshi Hideaki. Lanka Nippon BizTech Institute is an accredited software engineering degree awarding institute. The institute becomes Sri Lanka's first and only Japanese higher education institute to feature a Japanese job-oriented program approved by the Ministry of Education. The Prime Minister distributed diploma certificates to selected few diploma holders of the first batch who will proceed to the degree program. The Prime Minister thanked the Japanese LNBTI for the new IT degree program linked to job opportunities in Japan. The salient feature of the new IT degree program is that the Japanese private sector employment opportunities will be available for the Sri Lankan students passing out of this university. Furthermore, the IT sector investment opportunities will also be available for them and IT-related programs in Sri Lanka too. LNBTI is the only Japanese higher education institute in South Asia to offer quality IT degree programs with an arrangement of professional and permanent employment in the Japanese IT industry. LNBTI Chairman Kogo Michio and Professor Ananda Kumar and other dignitaries were present on this occasion.
The circular granting leave with no pay to the public officers to be spent within the country without causing any prejudice to the seniority and pension was issued today. No pay leave to be spent within the country can be obtained up to a maximum of 5 years within the officer's period of service. The committee, established in accordance with the Public Administration Circular 14/2022, is requested to conduct a study regarding the ministry's staff. The relevant no pay leave can be granted based on the recommendations of the committee. And the producer of internationally acclaimed film newspaper Minister Bandula Gunawardena arrived in the country this morning with the award won at the Kazan International Film Festival.
Sarath Kothalawala and Kumar Thirimadura won the Best Actor award at the festival held in Russia. The award was received by co-producer of the film, Minister Bandula Gunawardena, who represented the production team at the 18th annual festival recently. Upon arrival, the minister was welcomed by heads of media institutions. The newspaper film was created with the intention to stir a dialogue in the society over the black and white sides in the media industry.
And meanwhile, the Colombo International Book Fair 2022 is set to commence tomorrow at the BMICH premises. The National Television is the official electronic media partner of the 21st edition of the Colombo International Book Fair. Readers and book lovers are welcome to visit the book fair, which will continue until the September 25th.
Hindos Male novel composed by Sepali Mayadunna was nominated for the final round of the Swarna Pustaka Awards this year. The book was published by Museus Publications. The author Sepali Mayadunna, born in a village near Nuwara Vava area in Anuradhapura, received a secondary education from Anuradhapura Madhya Vidyalaya. She has gained her bachelor's degree from Sri Jayawardhanapura University and gained her master's degree and master in philosophy degree from the University of Kelaniya. The author has been acclaimed with many awards, including State Literary Award, D.R. Vijayawardhana Memorial Literary Award.
හොඳම දේ විශ්වාසයෙන් ට්‍රීට් කරන්න. Prima Treats. Life is a treat.
Colombo International Book Fair 2022 from 16th to the 25th of September from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the BMICH, organized by Sri Lanka Book Publishers Association.
மகிழ்ச்சி மகத்தான ஒரு உணர்வு. அதை பகிர்ந்து கொள்ளும் போது இன்னும் பல மடங்காகிறது. வாழ்வுக்கு சுவை சேர்க்கும் அழகிய தருணங்களுக்காக, ஆன்மாவை மகிழ்விக்கும் அர்த்தமுள்ள செயல்களுக்காக, புதியதொரு உலகை உருவாக்கும் அதே உன்னத எண்ணத்துக்காக, அலுப்பூட்டும் அன்றாட நிகழ்வுகளிலிருந்து விலகி விடுதலையை கொண்டாட, எதிர்பாராத சந்தர்ப்பங்களில் மலரும் புதிய பந்தத்துக்காக, அல்லது புதிய சரித்திரம் படைப்பதற்கான ஒரு முதல் அடியை போல உங்கள் அன்பிற்கும் நம்பிக்கைக்கும் உரியவர்களோடு பகிர்ந்து கொள்ளும் போது மகிழ்ச்சி இன்னும் பன்மடங்காகிறது. அதனால்தான் நாங்கள் உங்களது வங்கி சேவைகளை மகிழ்ச்சியான ஒரு அனுபவமாக்குகின்றோம். HNB மகிழ்வு தரும் வங்கி அனுபவம்.
Colombo International Book Fair 2022 from 16th to the 25th of September from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the BMI CH. Organized by Sri Lanka Book Publishers Association.
Welcome back with international news. And yesterday, a procession took the Queen's coffin from Buckingham Palace to the Westminster Hall.
It was accompanied by King Charles, his sons William and Harry, and other members of the royal family. Westminster Hall is the oldest building on the parliamentary estate. The Queen's gun carriage travelled in London's most iconic streets, which houses many key government buildings. King Charles III walks behind his mother's coffin. By his side are other members of the royal family, including Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, Prince Edward, Prince Harry and Prince William. The Queen's gun carriage moved with Horse Guards Parade, a ceremonial parade ground in St. James Park, which dates back to the 18th century. Members of the King's Life Guard, a senior army regiment, gave a salute as the Queen's coffin passes through Horse Guards Arch.
Terima Kotumi Pantan.
Welcome back with your sports update. And the Asian netball champions participated in their first television program on the national television today following their return to Sri Lanka.
The Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation staff, led by its chairman W.B. Ganegala, welcomed the Sri Lankan netball team. Sri Lanka competed against Singapore in the finals of the Asian Netball Championship. Sri Lanka was able to clinch the victory with a score of 63 points to 53 against Singapore. This was the sixth time Sri Lanka women's netball team secured the Asian Championship. Accordingly, they have qualified for the World Championship taking place next year.
Terima Kotumi Pantan.
Well, with that sports update, it's time for us to wind up this bulletin of news. Together with Charita, I'm Sharif, wishing you a very pleasant night. Thank you for tuning in.
Good night.